Hi everybody, I'm Alan from You Do AV, and today we're going to do a really quick drywall patch. So this is my patch. I've already done all the work I need to do, and so one of the things that's kind of falsely known about drywall is that when you cut the hole, number one, it needs to be perfectly square. Not true. And number two, that you need to cut it stud to stud. Also not true. Go ahead when you go to cut your drywall, if it's a 8x8 hole or 4x4 hole or a 2 foot by 2 foot hole, it's really not that much harder to patch a big hole than it is the small hole. So just cut a big hole. There's no reason to be trying to cut yourself short and trying to work out of a small hole. There's no reason. Cut it any shape that you want. Patching is really super easy. So every time I cut a hole, I go ahead and I put my patch up in the ceiling so I know exactly where it's at. I cut this hole like a month ago. And finally, my wife won, and I'm gonna patch it. So here's my patch right where I left it with a piece of ceiling debris. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna create some backing. And first let me explain why this is AV related, right? If you guys are gonna do AV, you need to run wires. Running wires means cutting holes. So in my opinion, AV is completely involved with drywall. Drywall is completely involved with AV. So if you wanna do a lot of work on your house, get ready to do some patching because you gotta do some patching. But it's easy, don't get scared. So the first thing we have to do is we gotta put some backing. So what I'm gonna do is put this patch down, and I'm gonna put some backing. And I'm just using these little stakes. These are just garden stakes. You can use 2x4s, whatever you wanna do. All it needs to do is just hold up the weight of the drywall, which is essentially like 10 ounces or something. So you'll put this dude in here. Make sure it's laying flat against the existing drywall. Make sure there's no wires trapped underneath it or drywall dust or little particles. That's going to make your patch sit weird. So once it's in there and it's overlapping by a couple inches in both directions, screw it in. I just have regular coarse thread drywall screw. It's about, I think I'm using like 1 5/8, something like that. Okay, one screw on each side, about an inch away from the edge. You get too close to the edge, you're gonna bust a hole in your drywall, and the thing just kind of caves in, won't hold anything. So, one screw on each side, about an inch away. I'm using, I think they're 1/2 inch stakes. By the way, if your stakes are too skinny, when you go screw it in, if you try to use like paint stirrer or something, if you try to use a paint stirrer, it'll just crack. Tried it, I know, doesn't work. Don't do it. Okay? So, how many disgusting people have put their fingers on this drywall screw that I just put in my mouth? Whoa! Right in my mouth it goes. Just got a piece of drywall on my side. I guess if I do these, I should probably wear safety glasses. You guys wear safety glasses, okay? Don't follow my example. Be smarter than me. Okay. Bam! Look at that. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? I could hoist a car off of these. I'm just kidding. Don't hoist a car off these. Okay. Got the reinforcement in there. Time to put my patch in. Also, make sure you get your patch out of the ceiling before you put these in, because then you won't get your patch out. Look at that misshaped thing. Kidding me? I wasn't paying attention to being square or whatever. So then, figure out which way it goes back in. For me, right there. Okay, if you cut it misshapen, it makes it a little easier to put back in. How about that? Okay, I'm gonna make sure I'm drilling in the wood that I just put in. Gosh dang, hit me in the eye. They should put this on those stupid people videos who don't learn their lesson. Okay, so when you put the screws in, just make sure that the screws go past the drywall. You can't have any screws, so it should just go pucker in, just barely past the drywall. That way you'll have a nice smooth patch. Okay. I'm gonna look away. Okay. I'm just gonna put all 4 corners in there. Boom. And shakalaka. All right, so since we put the backing, and the backing is being held up on the existing drywall, and I'm using the same exact piece, this piece fits perfect. This is a perfect fit. There's nothing hanging down, there's no funkiness. Perfect. So now my patch is in place. Time to put on some drywall tape and some mud. So I'm gonna go grab that and be right back. So this is nylon mesh tape, drywall mesh tape. It's a little bit sticky on one side, nothing on the other. So all you're gonna do is you're just gonna kind of pre-measure that out, overlapping your patch by about an inch, inch and a half on each side. Stick it to the ceiling, and your tape can overlap each other too. That's okay. I'm just cutting mine with a razor blade. Now don't try to skip, using tape. I've seen guys not use tape before. If you don't use drywall tape, over time this is going to crack again. So my thing is, I don't want to come back and do this ever again. I don't want my wife to tell her girlfriends what a crappy job I do on drywall patching, so I'm just going to go ahead and do a good job right off the bat. Alright. Whoa. My wife has long hair. All up in my tape. What's up with that? Throw that one away. Try it again. Boom bada. That's it. Simple as that. I know it's kind of hard to see on the video, but there's drywall tape up there. They make yellow kind, white kind. I don't know the difference. I just put whatever and I've never had a problem. So now to put mud. So when you're doing drywall mud, I like to use my first coat. I like to use my 8-inch drywall knife. I know it looks big, looks huge, huh? 25-inch drywall knife. Now this is an 8-inch drywall knife. Off camera, I'm trying to think of a way I can describe the consistency of the mud to you guys. I don't know. It's thicker than pancake batter, not as thick as cookie dough. And when you put it out on your knife, it shouldn't fall off. So that's the consistency you're looking for. Do not go to Home Depot and buy the pre-mixed stuff. You're not going to get enough, dude. It's like tiny. It's a tiny bit, really. It doesn't go very far. It costs way more. All you got to do is you buy the 20-minute mud. 5-minute mud sets up before you even get it on the wall. 45-minute mud, you'll be waiting all day to do your next coat. 20-minute mud or 15-minute mud is perfect. I'm using 20. I take my knife right here. I wipe off the edges a little bit. And all I'm trying to do is I drag it. All I'm trying to do is cover up the tape. Okay, I'm not even trying to make this patch that smooth yet. I mean, I want to make it as smooth as I can. But more important to me than being smooth is covering up the tape, because if you have fibers of that tape start to stick through, if your fibers start to stick through, then they'll stick through on every coat after that. So I'm just trying to cover up, get a really good cover up job, make it as smooth as possible, make it as thin as possible. I don't want any mountains or lumps or anything on there. Okay? You'll see that, like, as you get close to the tape, it starts to like show like a I don't know, little square little drip spots. I don't know what to call them. That's fine. As long as you can't see the tape, you're okay. Then, towards the end, once I've got a good amount of mud on there, not too thick, not too thin, I'm gonna go around the outside. I'm gonna pass it over the outside, putting a lot of pressure on the outside of the blade. It's very important. If you want your patch to be invisible, you need to have pressure on the outside, because there's gonna be a lump on your ceiling, right? Because you're adding drywall, so obviously the drywall mud is thicker here than it is out here. But what makes a drywall patch invisible is that you've thinned it out. You've made it thin at the edges so you can't tell. So I'm gonna put pressure on the outside of my blade to make that thin, because that's where I'm trying to make it invisible, okay? Don't worry, don't get too crazy yet. We got a ways to go. Okay, I'm gonna go over it one more time. Oh, I can see a little bit of the tape right there, dude. That's unacceptable, buddy. Unacceptable. Okay, so I'm gonna go back through. A little more mud. Okay, don't get crazy with this first coat. If you've got lines in the mud or your blade stutters or something like, don't worry about any of that stuff. Just cover the tape. That's it. We'll come back, we'll fix that stuff later. The nice thing about drywall is if you really screw up, let's say that all hell breaks loose and this thing goes south on you, who cares? Scrape it off and put it on again. Who cares? Big deal, right? No damage, no harm, no foul, nothing. Okay, so you guys are gonna be tempted to come back and start working on this thing before it's ready. Don't do that, okay? Wait for it to dry. So in about 20 minutes, I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna feel it, and if it's hard, I'm ready to go. If it's wet or soft at all, I'm gonna wait another 20 minutes. Don't try to rush this. That's what makes your patches look good. Patience. How long did it take me to put the mud on? 1 minute, if that. The waiting is the part that sucks. Okay, that's the part. I've got 2 hours, my family's at the movies, I need to hurry. So I'm trying to get through this as soon as I can, but I gotta wait. I'm not gonna rush it, or else my patch is gonna suck. So, see you guys in a few. Okay, here is a close-up of my first patch. See, I still have a little bit of lump on the corners. There's some lines in there, it's not perfect. You can still see a little bit of the impression of the tape. You can't see the tape, but you can see that the drywall is starting to like show signs that the tape is there. Right there, that little line right there, that bumpy line. That's not the tape, that's the drywall mud showing the tape is really close. And all that stuff's okay. As long as I can't see the tape and it's mostly smooth, we're good. It's been a few minutes. This patch is definitely not dry yet, but it's hard. Okay, you can see that it's a little darker. When it's dry, you can see out here, this is all like really light white. That's dry, that's completely dry. This dark stuff, that's still wet, but it's hard. So I can go ahead and put another layer on. So I'm going to switch to my 12-inch blade, and my goal this time is to make this patch as smooth as I can. So I'm just going to go ahead and make some passes on here. I might be able to get this patch completely done with two coats. Sometimes it takes me 3. You guys, if this is your first one, dude, you guys might do 5. Who cares? The difference doesn't make. It's just time. So, just making a few passes, trying to make it as smooth as I can. Not too much pressure. And then when you've got it pretty smooth and you're ready to take it out and make it look clean and finished, you're going to do that final pass with the pressure on the outside to make that nice and tight. So we're going to go ahead and do that pass right now. Looks to me like I'm going to be able to get this with just the 2 passes. My pressure's always on the outside of my blade. Okay. Now this is a texture called skip trowel. Skip trowel looks like really smooth. It has just a little bit of texture to it. So I'm just going to try to match the texture here. The guy who did this drywall had kind of a weird style where my texture looks like in rows. So I'm just going to do my best to match it as best as I can and call it a day. But my patch looks really smooth. I'll do a shot of it when I'm all done. It looks super smooth. I'm just going to try to add some texture to it by just adding a little bit of mud, and I'm just kind of playing in my ear here, just kind of putting some mud on the ceiling, letting it skip all over. Kind of looks a little chunky right now, but the ceiling is a little chunky, so once I've got it, this looks a little too thick. It looks right, but it looks a little too thick, so I'm just going to pass over it and hopefully that does it. That actually looks pretty good. So when you do drywall patches, obviously your ultimate goal would be to make it perfect, but it doesn't really have to be perfect. A drywall patch should really be something that doesn't stick out. like a small scar on your body. Nobody should look at your body and be like, oh my gosh, look at that huge nasty scar. Dude, you are mangled. It should be like that with your drywall. If somebody knows where the patch is, they're gonna see it. But you should make it so it's not an eyesore. And some styles you can make perfect. You can, it doesn't have to be, but you can. Like skip trowel, this right here, this looks pretty dang good. I'm gonna pass the, I'll show the video, the close-up of the patch, but I'm not gonna touch it anymore. I think that looks pretty good. So that's it. We did this in probably actual drywall work, less than 5 minutes. This really should be a really small task. One more tip for you guys, in between passes, or in between different coats, when you go to clean your tools, clean them really, really well. Okay, clean them so they're almost as brand new as you can get, because any drywall that's left over on there is bound to fall off on your next pass, and then it starts dragging through your mud and making lines and streaks. So be really aware of that, making sure your tools are really clean each time you go through and do another pass. Another thing is each time you do a pass. So I'm going to do a pass, clean my blade. Do a pass, clean my blade. Do a pass, clean my blade. Each time, and that's going to be how you're going to get your perfect patch. So whether you think so or not, I am a firm believer that drywall patching is part of AV. And it should be a skill that you guys feel comfortable doing. So, as always, I'm Alan from You Do AV. And thanks a lot for watching. Now you go and you do AV. So here's a close-up of the patch. So you can see the texture. See how the texture, this is not the patch, this is just my drywall. It's mostly smooth, but it's got a little texture to it. You look over mine, mine is the same thing. It's mostly smooth, but it's got a little texture to it. So after that dries and I paint it, which would be tomorrow, I'm not gonna paint it today. After it dries and I paint it, this is gonna be a perfect patch. You won't even see it.